fights and stuff.
It's all, I mean, we say, I'm not going to say it's all a mental game, but there is so much going on outside of the hands on the keyboard.
5 seconds remaining.
I think, yeah, in TI, especially at TI, like, it's 90% mental game. And if you're prepared for it, like, it's super easy to win TI because every team, like, just their performance rate, like, drops down drastically. Like, it's actually insane how worse everyone gets at TI.
Yeah, of course. You were in this position, FNG, where you were the underdog going into that game against Secret, and you were telling me that you didn't really have anything to lose. You thought we can just play for fun, and that kind of just removed the pressure from you.
10 seconds
I mean,
remaining.
after first game, when we drafted really bad heroes,
yeah.
we decided like, okay, draft our
5
heroes, and
seconds
for some
remaining.
reason, Secret left that hero for us, like Visage, draw, and stuff, and we won the game, and it was like, what happened? We just played good Dota.
But this is the question, right? The attitude you must have had in that was,
We lost.
nothing to lose.
We
Yeah,
lost.
We've lost. We've lost already. Let's have some fun, right? And as soon as the fun is re-injected back into the game, suddenly, you know, success is attached to it.
Yeah, kinda.
Looking forward to seeing. So basically, we've learned a lot throughout this panel, but one of them is just don't choke, have fun. Games are for fun at the end of the day. Also 24 million, but we'll talk about that later. Fun.
I'm really surprised that Shaker is not picked and not banned.
Yeah. Batrider gone last. Ember as well.
Because it's really like meta hero, and I believe both teams has a good players on it.
So, Blitz, if I asked you to summarize
10
the
seconds
styles
remaining.
of which we're going to be seeing from the VP and LFY, how would you do so?
I mean,
5
LFY have to
seconds
play
remaining.
a very split push game and gather up whenever their DP ult is up. It's really hard for them, though, to deal with a lot of VP's heroes. Like, I don't know if they have enough lane shove. Like, if you look at their heroes, the only hero that can really split the map is Morph. And even then, he needs a lot of items to do so. So far, even though Virtus Pro might have invested a lot in the team fight, I think they can shove the lanes easier, and therefore it's easier for them to make plays.
10 seconds remaining.
I think LFY is going for like super early
5
game because I think they can pressure way more than Virtus Pro can. And once they hit their timings, I think it's really hard for them to deal with the Morph lane because they have real bad heroes versus Morphing, other than Void, I think. So if this Void doesn't get too much, he has to be safe lane in this case because if he doesn't get that much, I think he's gonna be in a bad spot. I mean, I guess they have
So
Dark.
you're suggesting that it's kind of put a bit of a time limit on the game?
I think so, because I think Dar skill or L5 scales way better than Radiant does.
What do you take as the mid hero then? If you're in this position right now and you have the entire map ahead of you, and that's why they decided to save this pick for last, you see 5 different heroes. What do you decide that you want to carry this game?
I think Invoker can work because the LFI does not have like many natural BKB buyers, and I think Invoker shines in those scenarios, and they have like a lot of team fight to like help Invoker and like a lot of setup for him to like be online as soon as possible.
Getting to hear inside your head is a real adventure, especially when, you know, this is the draft. This is for no one. This is going in his hands. 38 seconds, and they're not rushing this one. FNG, anything to add to the pile of where no one's going to be taking this one?
OD.
Oh, we've seen a lot of OD from him in the past. That's like would you call that comfortable for no one?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even for Virtus Pro overall,
Yeah.
it's like OD can easily win the game by himself, but still he needs a lot of help here because Earth Spirit and DP are pretty strong lane.
They're going right down to the last second with this.
I think it's not the ideal what he
Choose your hero.
Ursa.
So yes, Ursa.
Yes, Ursa. Well, we've got it locked in. The draft is there. Do we feel like there is a clear draft favored here? Then I'll start with you, Blitz. It has to be quick.
I think that VP should be able to Roshan at a pretty reasonable pace. I feel like Ursa was a little bit out of left field, but I think they can push the map a little bit further than LFY can, so I'm going to go with VP for game 1.
Okay, VP for game 1.
VP.
VP.
LFY.
What a surprise. And 1 for LFY as well. All right then, Key Arena, let's make some noise as we welcome our casters and celebrate the start of another battle. This time it's LFY versus Virtus Pro. Let's raise the decibel levels. It's your casters.
I could definitely help with the decibel rating. We are going to go up already. Virtus Pro have taken out one LGD team, but now they face up against the Forever Young team, the team who looked amazing through group stage, 2-0 through the quarterfinals. What's in store for us this game, Sin?
Oh, there's a lot of things to talk about. This is a matchup I was looking forward to a lot. It's probably my favorite game of the day. Looked really scary again. After we saw the groups play out, just the way they played, they really were extremely impressive. So what I was thinking going into this matchup was, okay, how did VP beat LGD? They played really fast, really aggressive, took advantage of the slow build-up time that LGD had as a team, and I thought maybe VP are going to bring the same to the table here. LFY is a team that has a tendency of losing their lanes a bit and then playing a strong mid game. And maybe VP would just come rushing at them in the laning stage. It looks like that's some of the idea they have here with this Darkseer plus melee cores, that they just want to fight, like we saw IG do earlier in one of the games against Newbie. And LFY have more of their standard stuff here, so yeah, it's going to be a really interesting game. I think it's a hard one to call. Sumail rightfully pointed out, this is an incredible Morphling game, so Virtus Pro are maybe on a bit of a clock.
Yeah, and that's where they look to see the timing of the Ursa. But you were talking about, like, you rush them in the laning phase. Virtus Pro as well as FY have these heroes that kind of maybe want to wait a little bit longer. So maybe the battle will be happening a little bit later, but Virtus Pro can help step that up by running this aggressive kind of lane. Afu very wisely moving away. He has an Observer and a Sentry he's looking to try and plant out. But Ramses, Lil, and Solo are all grouping up around this top, and it looks like they are going to come over to try and contest up LFY's rune. If the Morphling is a great game for him, shut down his lane. 3 heroes will come up to contest it, and they will be successful at doing it. So 3 bounty runes go the way of Virtus Pro at the start.
Something to note, by the way, that happened during the draft was that Virtus Pro, for the longest time possible, as it looked, had no one on the Darkseer and Pasha on the Void. And it may have tricked LFY a little bit and given them a little less time to prepare, and then they swapped later on and, of course, put Pasha on his signature Darkseer. Since Pasha plays both heroes, maybe they would have believed that, okay, maybe no one also plays Darkseer. We haven't really seen it run. Maybe they would put it mid against Death Prophet. Not the case. It is the standard Void mid for no one that he has played before in this tournament. And as for Super, he's playing on one of his absolute best heroes, Death Prophet.
This seems like such a hard lane for either team to gank up. No one's got time walk to get away. Super, he'll need his level 2 for it, but the Spirit Siphon can be there for the Death Prophet. So difficult to gank, but it's not stopping Lil from being more of a nuisance. Both teams, the panel talking about this earlier in the day, how many couriers have we actually seen sniped out? We got a lane camera up right now to check out all the lanes, but at this rate, at the very start, you may as well have courier cams both going at the same time. But Lil rotating in towards mid, he won't find Super.
Hello.
He'll give up the fight. The second he shows himself, the courier will leave the base. Is coming with the salve.
A little bit of not going to be too phased by this.
Oh wow, actually top lane, Tidehunter, you're really low. Ramsey, where's that rolling boulder forward? Space, it's not created enough. Solo, it'll actually be the kill for him. Ramsey still wants to damage into Afu. Solo doesn't actually have the range anymore to stand underneath that tier 1 tower, but Virtus Pro getting up in the face of LFY's safe lane successfully.
I'd say this is one of Ramsey's best heroes, and perhaps relative to like the rest of the competitive field, his standout hero is the Ursa. It's become a Virtus Pro classic to run, and whenever they identify that there's a very good lane matchup for Ramses, they're not scared of picking up this Ursa. And that is one of the absolute best heroes you can have in lane against Tidehunter. This lane sucks, man. It's really, really weak LFY safe lane. And as mentioned before, maybe that's the way you approach this team, is that you try to beat them out very hard in lane. And then in addition to that, in this game, VP have doubled down on teamfight. So they can also like progress from that laning stage into beating LFY at their game later, which in my opinion has been the standout playstyle for LFY, is these team fights past minute 15 where they just play incredibly around each other. But if there's enough team fight on the enemy team, it's not that easy.
And regeneration room for no one. His sustain in the mid lane's fantastic against Super. And you're talking about this aggressive lane, like VP can start the rotation. Is there a way that LFY can move earlier? We've currently committed DDC with Monet on this bottom lane to try and battle against Pasha, but they're not really intimidating him much. It seems to be more of just a straight up farm lane. Is this really the way LFY's lane should work out?
I don't really think they have that many heroes that are good against Darkseer early on. He's going to have a good game here, Pasha. LFY are probably just thinking more about how do we enable our Morphling and DP as much as possible, and then Tide will be a sacrifice in this game. They can't have all 3 lanes go well with the heroes that they're facing, so they got to take what they can get top lane again now. Ramses.
Yeah, look at him open up. Afu creates a little bit of space with a rock kick, but it's so hard to walk away. That upheaval is making it impossible. Ramses' damage output, it's lower thanks to the anchor smash, but Lil does not care when Burrow Strike is available. 2-0 start to Virtus Pro. Exactly where they wanted to be with 1k up lead.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really difficult for Inflame to have a game here. I'm curious if they just decide at some point, you know what, don't even bother. Leave this lane dead and try to focus on somewhere else. But that's kind of part of the genius of this mid lane Faceless Void, is that that's a really bad hero for Earthspirit to try to gank. Sure, they can try to connect it with the DP sounds, but there's no way they're going to kill this guy.
And then you want to run the Darks here. Pasha just sits back behind the tower and spams out Iron Shells defensively, wasting more time.
It's very difficult for LFY to find openings, so I think they're just going to need to try to farm as much as they can TDC, trying to snipe some freeze there. You got one. I'll take the bounty rune at least, and also see that the bottom rune is invisibility. This could be an opening perhaps, but again, where does he go? Maybe he takes this one and TP's top and they try to connect. Nope, it's actually Earthspirit TP back to the base.
It's like, if they could pressure mid, but like, they can't really even do that until they have a silence available, and that's not something Super wants to really skill up. He's going for a 2-0-3, and more than likely wants to have Exorcist for 6.
Let's see what he chooses to do. We have seen Salad skilled fairly early in some situations.
Maybe they go bottom lane. That is where they're headed, but Lil, maybe feeling this rotation already, moving over. Pasha getting aggressive onto Monet. Pasha still keeping that burn going. DDC reveals himself to pick up and throw down with the waveform. They have the damage output. Lil will get the Burrow Strike as Morphling. Strength morphs up and has 4 1-charges to live. So he will be fine.
Nice bait from Monet. It's one of those moments as the Darks here, you're like, how stupid is he? Is he really doing this? Like, I'm having a great time trading with this guy. I have Iron Shell on myself, and Lil is coming in. That's why this worked so well, was that Lil actually wanted to go for the kill down there, so they really wanted to bait themselves. And it's about who are the better baiters, and that was LFY in this instance. They get that kill.
Yep, that helps them just repair a little bit of the gold advantage that Virtus Pro's picked up. It's now taken the aggression off the Tidehunter, so more space for that off lane, or I should say safe lane of LFY.
There's going to be some swap around here. They'll pit the Ursa against Morphling. That's also, I would say, a pretty good lane matchup for the Ursa until Morphling is very strong. In case at all yet.
They can also feel confident about their other lanes. The fact that no one's running the mid means you've got a Chronosphere very early on. So if LFY want to pressure bottom lane, if they want to pressure Ramses, it won't take that much to bring in the Faceless Void, and vice versa. You can't. How can you kill the mid when you got Chronosphere and a level 3 Time Walk available? It really is not possible. But Arfu, he'll start with the kick under Ramses, pick up Telekinesis, no TP support coming in just yet. Now it's on the way. It's the Faceless Void we're talking about, the lead forward, a 3-man Chrono, but he's already lost Ramses. Support's not there, Warlock is on his way, trying to focus on the DDC, and let's get something, but no one. It's a 1-on-3 matchup. Solo will come in, gives the Shadow Word, as well as the slow upheaval is down. So Monet doesn't want to use waveform. Lil's coming in with Lil and Lil, looking for DDC, does surround him on 3 sides. The kick comes forward, only connects on the illusion. Solo moving forward as well, needs to keep his distance. Now it's Lil who's very low. The Sand King will fall. DDC trying to run back to the tower. The illusions are going to break off the attack. They're coming down towards Arfu, but Monet's not done just yet. Going after no one. He's got the Shadow Word for regeneration with his SK illusion. It finds Arfu, but still on 40 HP. That is enough to stay alive as the Earth Spirit.
Yeah, the Fairy Fire stays alive because of that. On that Earth Spirit. It's an item we don't really see used that much anymore, but it has its moments just like that one. Earth Spirit is one of the better heroes to use Fairy Fire because it very naturally commits in and wants to trade for as long as possible. And then just at the end of that, when he's about to die, he does have that ace up his sleeve to get out of there. Very nice plays here overall from LFY, forcing that rotation from Void, getting a 0 impact chrono. They got half a tower mid with Death Prophet ultimate at the same time, and they freed up their Tidehunter up top, who is now going to be able to play some Dota soon. We'll be looking forward to that. Gets a soul ring, so farming is now secured for him.
And also is level 6, the other big team fight controller. You can talk about the Faceless Void having the Chronosphere for no one. He needs a follow-up. The other counterpart to kind of make VP's combination work a little bit better is levels onto Solo. He's on this bottom lane now, sitting down here with Ramses, but both of them don't have that level 6. You don't have Enrage, you don't have the Rock Drop.
It will be coming in due time.